Deep in a frozen wilderness, a forest ranger was patrolling through heavy snowfall when she noticed something unusual. A tiny Mustang foal, barely able to walk, was following her. At first, she thought he was lost, but then she looked into his, eyes pleading, desperate, terrified. And when she finally understood why he was chasing her, she broke down in tears, because the foal wasn't just lost. He was leading her somewhere she would never forget. The thick snow crunched under Ranger Emily Carter's boots as she adjusted her scarf against the icy wind. She had been a forest ranger for over 15 years, patrolling this vast, untamed wilderness. The winters were brutal, but she had never seen anything like this, a foal alone in the middle of a snowstorm. Emily stopped, her heart pounding, as the tiny Mustang struggled through the deep snow, following her every step. His coat was damp, his legs trembling from exhaustion. Each breath came out in weak puffs of steam. Emily's first instinct was confusion. Where was his mother, his herd? Wild Mustangs never left their young behind, not unless something was terribly wrong. She turned slowly, lowering her voice to keep him calm. "Hey there, little guy," she whispered. "Where did you come from?" The foal stared up at her with wide, frightened eyes. Then he whinnied, not just any sound, a cry, a plea. And when he turned and stumbled a few steps forward, then looked back at her, Emily realized the truth. He wasn't lost. He was asking her to follow. Something was out there, and whatever it was waiting for them in the snow. Emily's heart pounded as the foal took another shaky step forward, then turned to look back at her. He was waiting, begging. The snowstorm was thickening around them, the wind howling through the towering pines. If she didn't follow him now, whatever he was leading her to might not survive much longer. She took a deep breath, adjusting the rifle strap on her shoulder, and stepped forward. "All right, little guy," she murmured. "Show me what you need me to see." The foal let out a weak, breathy whinny, then started moving. Emily followed closely, her boots crunching through the knee-deep snow. The foal stumbled more than once, his legs barely able to carry him forward. She wanted to pick him up, to carry him somewhere warm and safe, but he wouldn't stop moving. He had a mission, something, or someone was waiting for them. Her mind raced through the possibilities. Had his herd abandoned him? It was rare, but not impossible. The wild was harsh, and sometimes the weakest were left behind. But why was he so desperate for her to follow? A sick feeling twisted in her stomach. Something was wrong. The foal suddenly stopped near a cluster of trees, his small body trembling. His ears flicked forward, alert. They had arrived. Emily squinted through the falling snow, and then she saw it. At first, it looked like just another mound of snow. But then Emily's eyes adjusted, and she felt her breath catch. A larger Mustang lay partially buried in the drift, completely still, his mother. Emily rushed forward, dropping to her knees. She brushed the snow from the mare's body, revealing a coat covered in frost, her muscles locked with cold. She was still breathing, but barely. The foal let out a heartbreaking sound, a desperate, grieving whimper. He nuzzled his mother's face, his tiny body pressing against her for warmth. Emily placed a hand on the mare's side. Her skin was ice cold, but her heartbeat was there, faint, struggling. She was alive, but not for much longer. Emily knew. She had minutes, maybe less, to act. The foal had brought her here because he refused to leave his mother behind. And now it was up to Emily to save them both. Her mind went into overdrive. What had happened? The mare's leg was swollen, and her breathing was uneven. She must have fallen, injured herself, and gotten trapped in the storm. With the freezing temperatures, her body had started shutting down. No food, no warmth, no chance to survive until her foal had found Emily. A lump formed in her throat. This little guy hadn't been looking for food. He had been looking for someone to save his mother, and she wouldn't let them down. Emily pressed her radio, her voice firm. "HQ, this is Ranger Carter. I need an emergency rescue at my location. Injured Mustang. Severe hypothermia." Response crackled through the static. "Copy that, Carter. At 20 minutes. Can you keep her stable?" Emily looked at the foal, his little body shivering violently, his eyes locked on hers, filled with something she rarely saw: trust in wild animals. She turned back to the mare and set her jaw. She had to try. Emily moved fast, first warm. She yanked off her thick, insulated ranger coat and draped it over the mare's body, pressing close to her to share body heat. It wasn't enough, but it was something. The foal, sensing the urgency, pressed against his mother's neck, sharing his tiny warmth with her. Emily's throat tightened. He had never left her side. He never gave up, and neither would she. She reached into her pack, pulling out an emergency thermal blanket. She wrapped it over the mare's body, sealing in whatever heat was left. Then, she grabbed a small flask of warm water from her bag, tilting it carefully near the mare's lips. "Come on, girl," she whispered. "Stay with us." For a long, excruciating moment, nothing happened. Emily could feel her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. Too late. Had she found them too late? Then a flicker of movement. The mare's nostrils flared a breath. Emily sucked. In a sharp gasp, "That's it," she whispered. "That's it, girl. Stay with me." The foal whimpered, nudging his mother's cheek. The mare let out the faintest sound, a weak, exhausted whinny. Emily laughed through her tears. "She's fighting," she said into her radio. "She's fighting." And so was the foal. Now it was only a matter of time. Would the rescue team arrive before the cold took her completely? Emily held her breath and waited. Emily kept her hands firmly pressed against the mare's body, her own warmth radiating through the thick fabric of her ranger coat. The foal stood close, his small frame trembling violently from exhaustion and fear. His soft whimpers filled the icy air, and every few moments, he nudged his mother's muzzle. As if begging her to wake up, Emily clenched her jaw. The rescue team was on its way, but 20 minutes in this cold might as well be a lifetime. She had to keep the mare awake. Reaching into her bag, she grabbed another flask of warm water and carefully drizzled a few drops onto the mare's lips. "Come on, girl," she murmured, her fingers gently rubbing the side of the horse's neck. "Stay with me." The mare's breathing was slow and uneven, but then a sign. Her nostrils flared slightly, catching the faint warmth of the water. Emily's heart leaped. "That's it," she whispered. "Come on, just a little more." The foal nudged his mother again, his little body pressing against her side, sharing whatever warmth he could. Emily couldn't stop the lump forming in her throat. He refused to leave her. He had followed her for miles, in the middle of a snowstorm, desperate to find anyone who could save her. And he had found her. Emily had spent years as a ranger, but she had never seen anything like this. The unshakable love of a wild animal, the determination of a creature who would not abandon his mother. No matter what, she wasn't going to let that love be in vain. Emily glanced at her radio. 15 minutes left. She swallowed hard, her fingers moving quickly to adjust the emergency blanket over the mare's body. She reached for her belt, unclipping a small ration bar. It wasn't much, but it might be enough to give the mare the energy to hold on. She broke a small piece off and placed it near her lips. At first, nothing happened. Then a weak flicker of movement. The mare's tongue barely brushed against the food. Emily sucked in a sharp breath. "She's still fighting," she whispered. The foal let out a high-pitched whinny, his breath forming little clouds in the freezing air. Emily rubbed the mare's forehead, whispering softly, "You hear that? Your baby needs you. You've made it this far. Don't give up now." The mare let out the faintest huff of air, her ears twitching ever so slightly. Emily let out a breathless laugh, blinking against the cold wind. "You're tougher than you look, girl." She glanced at the foal, who was watching her now, his dark eyes locked onto hers, filled with something unspoken. Hope, trust, a silent understanding. Emily nodded. "We're not losing her today." The sound of distant engines rumbled through the trees. The rescue team was coming, and for the first time since she had found them, Emily knew they were going to make it. The deep rumble of engines echoed through the frozen forest. Emily exhaled in relief as she spotted the headlights cutting through the thick snowfall. The rescue team was here. The foal lifted his head at the sound, his ears twitching, his small frame still pressed against his mother. Emily stood up quickly, waving both arms. "Over here," she called, her voice barely carrying over the wind. The first snow-covered truck pulled to a stop, followed by a second vehicle carrying a small livestock trailer. 2 men in thick ranger jackets jumped out, moving fast. Liam was the first to reach her, his breath forming clouds in the freezing air. Jesus, Emily, he muttered, eyes darting to the collapsed Mustang. You weren't kidding. She's hypothermic, Emily said quickly, kneeling again to adjust the emergency blanket. She's been lying here for hours. I've stabilized her as much as I can, but we need to move. Liam crouched beside her, his eyes scanning. The mare's condition. He could see the fight still left in her, but only barely. He glanced at the foal. Is that her baby? Emily nodded. He followed me for miles to bring me here. Liam let out a low whistle, shaking his head. This little guy must really love his mama. The foal nudged his mother again, letting out a small, desperate whinny. Emily swallowed against the lump in her throat. Yeah, she whispered. He does. Liam stood, turning toward the other. Rangers, all right, let's move fast. She won't last much longer in this cold. The team moved in sync, unrolling a heavy-duty stretcher and placing it beside the mare. Emily stayed close, stroking the mare's forehead as the Rangers carefully secured straps around her body. Easy, girl, she murmured. We're going to get you somewhere warm. The foal let out a panicked sound when they started lifting her, his hooves kicking up snow as he tried to push forward. Emily quickly stepped in front of him, her hands gently pressing against his chest. She whispered, her voice soothing. It's okay, we're helping her. The foal's breath came in short, nervous bursts. His tiny muscles tensed, like he wanted to fight, like he thought they were taking his mother away. Emily stayed completely still, and then, slowly, he stopped. He watched as his mother was carefully lifted onto the sled, his ears flicking back. Emily placed a gentle hand on his head. She's safe now, she whispered. She's going to be okay. Liam gestured toward the trailer. We've got heat packs inside, he said. Let's get her in before her temperature drops any lower. Emily nodded. She took one step toward the trail, and the foal followed. Liam blinked in surprise. Well, looks like you've got a shadow now. Emily let out a breathless laugh, her chest tightening. He's not leaving her, she said softly. Not. Now we're together. They carefully guided both mother and foal toward the warmth of the trailer. Emily watched as the foal pressed against his mother's side the moment they settled inside. His body finally relaxed for the first time that night, and for the first time, Emily truly believed they were going to make it. The foal had found her when all hope seemed lost. And now, he had finally found safety. The warmth inside the trailer was immediate. Emily exhaled, rubbing her cold hands together as she watched the mother Mustang's chest rise and fall in shallow breaths. The foal refused to leave her side. His small body pressed against hers. His tiny frame trembled, not from cold anymore, but from exhaustion and fear. Liam secured the trailer doors and climbed in beside Emily, kneeling to check on the mare. She's got a long road ahead, he muttered, but her breathing is steady. That's a good sign, Emily nodded, though her chest still felt tight. The mare had survived the storm, but hypothermia was unforgiving. If her body temperature didn't rise soon, she might not make it through the night. Emily reached into the supply kit and pulled out a thick emergency blanket. She draped it gently over the mare, tucking it around her legs, trying to trap as much heat as possible. The foal lifted his head slightly, watching her every move. His dark, glassy eyes were filled with something unspoken. Emily reached out, hesitating for just a moment before gently brushing her fingers over his muzzle. He didn't flinch. Instead, he pressed his face into her palm. Emily swallowed hard, forcing back the sudden wave of emotion in her chest. You did good, little guy, she whispered. You got her here. You saved her. The foal let out a soft, almost relieved sigh. Liam watched the exchange, shaking his head. Wild Mustangs don't act like that. Emily kept her eyes on the foal. I don't think he's just any wild Mustang. The mare stirred slightly under the blanket, her ears twitching for the first time since they found her. The foal's head snapped toward her. Emily held her breath. Slowly, the mare opened her eyes, weak, groggy, but alive. The foal let out a desperate, high-pitched whinny, pressing his tiny nose against her cheek. The mare blinked slowly, and then she responded with the softest huff of air. Emily let out a shaky laugh. Liam grinned. That's a damn good sign. The foal nudged his mother again, then curled up beside her. His breathing finally slowed as he let himself rest for the first time in hours. Emily exhaled and leaned back against the wall of the trailer. She had spent years patrolling these woods years, watching nature at its wildest, its most beautiful, and its most brutal. But this was something else. She pulled the radio from her belt and pressed the button. HQ. This is Carter. The Mustang is awake. There was a brief pause before the dispatcher's voice crackled through. Copy that, Carter. Looks like you just saved 2 lives tonight. Emily looked at the foal, now curled up beside his recovering mother. She smiled softly. No, she murmured. He did. The drive back to the ranger station was slow. The snowstorm still lingering over the valley. Inside the trailer, the warmth from the heating packs and blankets was finally taking effect. The mother Mustang's breathing was stronger now, no longer as fragile and shallow as before. Emily sat beside her, watching closely as the mare slowly lifted her head. The foal let out a soft, excited whinny and nudged against her cheek as if encouraging her to keep going. The mare blinked, her body still weak, but for the first time since they found her, she looked aware. Emily felt her throat tighten. Hours ago, she'd thought this horse had no chance. But now, hope wasn't just a possibility. It was real. Liam, who had been monitoring the mare's pulse, glanced up with a smirk. She's one hell of a fighter. Emily let out a small, breathless laugh, brushing a hand over the foal's head. She had the best reason to fight, she murmured. She wasn't just fighting for herself. The foal curled up beside his mother again, his small body pressing into hers for warmth. He wasn't afraid anymore. For the first time since Emily had met him, his little body was at peace. The exhaustion, the panic, the desperate search through the snow, it was all over. Liam tapped his radio. ETA 15 minutes, he said. Think she'll be able to stand when we get there? Emily looked at the mare. Her eyes were clearer now. She was still weak, but there was a new energy in her breath. She had been on the edge of death, but now she was coming back. Emily nodded. Yeah, she whispered. She'll stand. And when she did, it would be the beginning of a whole new life. The truck rolled to a stop just outside the ranger station. The storm had begun to ease, the snowfall thinning as the first hints of morning light stretched across the horizon. Emily opened the trailer doors, bracing herself against the cold wind. But inside, the atmosphere had completely changed. The foal was already on his feet, his little tail flicking as he watched over his mother, and the mare, she was moving, slowly, carefully. She shifted her legs beneath her, muscles still stiff from the cold. She took a deep breath, her nostrils flaring as if testing herself. Then, with a determined grunt, she pushed up. Her legs wobbled for a moment. Emily held her breath, thinking she might collapse. But then she stood. The foal let out a sharp, excited whinny, circling her in small, eager steps. Emily's chest tightened as she watched the moment unfold. Hours ago, this mare had been seconded from death. Now, she was standing. Her ears flicked back as she took in her surroundings. She had survived. Liam, standing beside Emily, let out a low whistle. I can't believe it, he murmured. I really thought we were going to lose her. Emily exhaled, crossing her arms to hide the tremble in her hands. Yeah, she said softly. Me too. The foal pressed himself against his mother's side, nuzzling into her, as if making sure she was really there. The mare let out a soft huff, lowering her head to gently nose him in return. The entire team stood silent, watching them. A moment of pure, undeniable love. Emily felt something shift inside her. She had spent years as a ranger, witnessing nature at its harshest. She had seen life lost to storms, to hunger, to time itself. But tonight was different. Tonight, love had won, and it had come from the most unlikely hero, a tiny, fragile foal who refused to give up. Emily wiped her face with her sleeve, blinking hard. Liam smirked. Are you crying, Carter? Emily sniffed. Shut up, Liam. He chuckled, giving her a playful nudge before stepping forward. We'll keep them under observation for a while, make sure they're stable. Then we can start thinking about the next step. Emily nodded, watching the foal prance in small, joyful circles around his mother. What's the next step? She asked, though she already knew the answer. Liam grinned. We let them go. Emily swallowed hard. The thought of releasing them back into the wild should have made her feel at peace. That was their home, after all. But deep down, she felt something else, a small ache in her chest. She had spent so many hours with the foe, earned his trust, and witnessed his determination, that she had saved him, and in a way, he had saved her too. Would he remember her when he was back in the wild? Would he ever come looking for her again? She glanced at him now, his dark eyes locked onto hers. There was something unspoken between them. Emily reached out, gently brushing her fingers along his forehead. For the first time, he leaned into her touch, a quiet goodbye, a promise. She smiled. "Stay wild, little guy," she whispered. Then, stepping back, she watched as the foal and his mother took their first steps into a new life, a life they had fought for and won. Sometimes the strongest bonds are formed in the most unexpected ways. A tiny Mustang foal, lost and desperate, didn't give up, and because of his love, his mother survived. He braved the storm. Found help, and led a stranger straight to the one who needed saving. And in the end, his determination changed everything. This incredible story reminds us that love, loyalty, and courage exist not only in humans, but in the wild. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an inspiring story like this one. And tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Emily's place? Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes even the smallest creatures can teach us the biggest lessons.